Welcome to Subconscious Conversations, where we take a look into the intricate world of the subconscious mind and how to heal the body, mind, heart, and spirit through its wisdom and guidance. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Brielle, and I'm the soul practitioner at Springseed Wellness, where I practice the energy medicine techniques of Soul Survey, which I created myself, as well as Emotion Code, Body Code, and Belief Code, which were created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a new method that I just got certified in called Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, which was created by the late Dolores Cannon. Very, very fascinating woman. I'm so excited about this. I'm going to give you a little bit of background though. So, in the beginning, when I was first starting to look into energy healing, I had heard about quantum healing, which really appealed to me because of my science background. And I thought, oh, that'll make sense to me because it's coming from a scientific standpoint, so I'll be able to understand how it works. But then when I was looking into quantum healing, I just kind of kept running into emotion code and body code, which was fate, in my opinion. And they really aligned with what I felt I needed to heal myself. So I got certified in those, and then I got certified in Belief Code when it came out. And I've told you many, many times how much they have just really transformed and saved my life, really. But then, as I described in episode 12, I kept feeling pushed towards something else. Excuse me. I was being pushed towards something else, and I believe I was guided to create Soul Survey. So I completed that, and then I was watching TV one day, and I ran into a show about past life and in between life regressions, and it was so fascinating. And the more I watched the show, the more I saw how many similarities there were to Soul Survey and the information that I was trying to provide through that and the healing that that can bring. And it was really kind of blowing my mind. And I actually thought, oh, wow, why have I just wasted all this time creating this new method when this technique already exists and is 10 times deeper? But then I realized it's still really important to have Soul Survey because some people aren't comfortable with hypnosis. And it's really good for those people to have the option of getting some of the same information, although a lot of different information at the same time, but without having to undergo hypnosis if that's something that's uncomfortable to them. But anyway, I was very fascinated and interested with this show. So I started looking into the different methods that they were mentioning on the show, and Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, or QHHT for short, that one really caught my attention, and probably at least partially because the name was so similar to my original interest in quantum healing. But also during this time, one of my sisters was strongly encouraging me to go deeper into the past life area, which I was actually really uncomfortable with at first. I believe in past lives. I have uncovered and healed some past life traumas through emotion code, body code, belief code, and soul survey. And I've seen and experienced how impactful that healing can be to this lifetime. But with those methods, it's not actually a main focus. I only go down that road when it naturally comes up during a session. But I never wanted to push towards that subject. I was nervous to go down the road of past lives too much because I believe we aren't really supposed to remember everything. Otherwise, we would. And granted, some people do remember their past lives, but most of us don't remember those things. And the last thing I want to do is misstep and reveal something to someone that they weren't supposed to know. Um, But I have learned through emotion code, body code, belief code, and soul survey that I can totally trust the subconscious mind to only do what's in the highest and best interest of the person. And it would not reveal anything that the individual was not supposed to know. And I guess I just assumed that all past life explorations were someone else telling you what they see in more of a psychic type manner. But QHHT is not like that at all. It puts the person into a deep hypnosis, and then the practitioner just facilitates a conversation straight with the subconscious mind, which is what I do all the time. So it really helped me feel confident in being certain that I'm not going to accidentally steer someone in the wrong direction in their life, because the information that they're getting isn't coming from me, it's coming from their subconscious mind. So it will not steer them wrong. And I love that approach, obviously. Now, I did still have a little bit of a hang up because with QHHT, I am having the specific focus on finding out certain information. But that's also the beauty of it, because still, wherever in time they go, whether it be a past life, in between lives, or another time within this life, it's up to their subconscious mind to guide what is most appropriate to that person, and it will not reveal anything that isn't beneficial for that person. So even if that person comes in with the explicit intent to explore past lives, if they're not meant to know that, their subconscious won't take them to past lives. It'll take them to relevant events in this life, or whatever is most appropriate. And if someone is really struggling in life and they're feeling really compelled to try hypnosis regressions, that's their intuition, their subconscious mind, their higher self, their divine and or spiritual guides telling them this is the key to unlock your healing. And I trust that. I trust that our guiding forces do so through our intuition. So at first I was very apprehensive, but the more I learned about it, the more my fears were totally negated, and the more I got really, really excited about this work. And another thing I really like about QHHT is the efficiency and the detail of the information coming through. Now, a typical QHHT session is fairly lengthy. It's around 4 hours or so, depending on how long the interview portion takes. The actual hypnosis portion takes 1 to 2 hours, but you really want to spend some time with the client ahead of time, really getting to know them very well before you start the hypnosis portion, because it's really important to know them on a personal level and have a really good understanding of what they're seeking to get out of the session, so that you can best facilitate for them and know when to dig deeper or when to move on, so that they get the most out of their session as possible. And even though the actual session length is longer, the amount of information and healing received in that amount of time is extensive. So it's actually very efficient. Now, like I said before, I can still get to past life issues and between life issues with the emotion code, body code, belief code, and soul survey. But it does tend to be a little bit more time consuming and a little less detailed, because with those modalities, I'm constrained by asking the subconscious a series of yes or no questions, which are basically led by my own intuition. So it takes a little bit longer to get clear details, because I'm kind of just stabbing in the dark with random yes or no questions and trying to piece together the puzzle. But when you're talking directly to the person under hypnosis, it's really much more efficient because their body can easily translate the messages from their subconscious mind in a verbal and detailed manner without the conscious mind interfering. So you can gain a lot more detail in a shorter amount of time. And the session doesn't stop at past life and between life and this life or whatever. Because after you explore that information, the practitioner then opens up a conversation with the subconscious mind that's geared towards explaining why that time was the most relevant and what the client needs to understand from that experience. And this is also the time in the session where the practitioner can ask the subconscious directly about any questions that the client has, um, within reason, of course, due to timing. But it's really fascinating and really impactful to be able to get those direct answers. And also, throughout the session, the subconscious mind has such an amazing way of really helping the physical body heal in some pretty unfathomable ways. So it can be really, really beneficial in that regard alone. And this part of the subconscious conversation is actually kind of an expansion on the typical subconscious conversations that I'm used to, because it also taps into and brings in your guides and the collective unconscious as well. So it really deepens the level of the conversation and the information and the healing. And it's just really super fascinating and awesome. So, anyway, to kind of bring it back around, I was watching this intriguing show about these regressions, and I was being encouraged by my sister and, well, and my mom too, to dig deeper into it. And I was learning enough to quell all my fears. So I decided to take the next step and reach out to some QHHT practitioners in my area because these sessions have to be done in person, and I'll discuss that in a moment. But I reached out to a couple local practitioners because I wanted to experience it firsthand and see if it really was something that I wanted to pursue. But I didn't hear back from either one of them, and I was so excited about QHHT that after a couple weeks of waiting, I just went for it anyway and I signed up for the course. And usually I like to try something myself before I bite off a commitment that big. And I really want to experience something for myself before I start doing it on someone else. But I had been as patient as my excitement would allow, and so I just went ahead and signed up for the course. And as fate would have it, the very day I signed up for my certification, I think it was probably like an hour after I signed up for my certification, I heard back from one of the practitioners that I had reached out to. And it turns out my email somehow went into her spam folder, and she just by chance happened to find it that very day. And that coincidence was a sign to me that I was definitely on the right path. And so I made an appointment with her for the following week, and it was pretty amazing. And not only did I have a wonderful experience, but I think I made a new friend as well. So that's really awesome. And having experienced it for myself, I think that's a misconception that I had, and I think a lot of other people have as well, which is the concept that hypnotism puts you in a state where you're not in control of yourself and the other person can make you feel or behave in any way that they want. And I think that comes from many of us remember seeing the silly entertainment hypnotists that would make people act like animals on stage and do all sorts of embarrassing things. And I absolutely love that QHHT is not like that at all. The client is in control of the session the entire time, and oftentimes they're reasonably aware of everything that's going on during the session. And that really makes me feel a lot more safe and comfortable myself. And yes, you do need to trust your practitioner to be an effective facilitator and an effective hypnotist, but you are in control of the session, and I find that very comforting. Now, another misconception that people have, which makes them a little uncomfortable with hypnotism, is the idea that they won't be able to be hypnotized. And it is true that some people are a little bit more difficult to hypnotize if they spend a lot of their time fully engaged in their logical conscious mind. It might take those people a little bit more time and a little bit more effort to get into the theta state, but it is possible. So anyway, now I am certified as a level 1 practitioner intern, which means I have to complete an internship of 25 practice sessions before I can start charging money for them. And that is very great news for anyone in my local area or any area that I deem to be reasonably travelable. I do like to go on adventures from time to time. So if anyone is interested in giving QHHT a try for free, just reach out to me at springseedwellness@gmail.com or 406-616-3776, or you can go to my booking site at springseedwellness.com. But as I mentioned before, these sessions do have to be done in person. Now, with emotion code, body code, belief code, and soul survey, I can do those sessions remotely, no problem. And although some people practicing other hypnosis techniques might offer remote sessions, it's not allowed with QHHT sessions, and I completely agree with the reasoning behind it. Not saying anything bad about anyone else or any other modality, but I agree that it just isn't safe enough to do it remotely. First and foremost, most hypnosis techniques take you into the alpha brainwave state, but QHHT takes you deeper than that. It takes you into a deep theta brainwave state, which is the deepest hypnosis state there is. That's the same state that you're in right before falling asleep and right before waking up. And if I put you into that deep theta hypnosis state and then the power goes out and we lose our internet connection, that's a really bad situation for you to be in. And also, it's rare, but occasionally someone can start experiencing really traumatic events. And the practitioner really needs to be able to quickly and effectively keep that client calm, emotionally separated from the event, and do everything that they can to make sure that the client isn't in any distress at any point during the session. And that can be difficult to do in a remote setting. And likewise, these sessions are a little bit longer, and sometimes the client needs to go to the bathroom in the middle of the session. And that's a pretty difficult interruption to navigate in a remote setting as well. So while I'm very excited to help everyone I possibly can, it really must be done in person, which is a little bit tricky because I don't currently have a physical office since everything else I offer can be done remotely. But I am working on some angles and I do have some options. So if you're interested in giving it a try, just reach out and we will arrange something that's comfortable for both of us. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and please join me for the next episode where I will be discussing belief systems. See you then. If you would like to set up a session with me to experience this work for yourself, please go to springseedwellness.com. If you would like to find a practitioner in your local area, please go to discoverhealing.com. And please always feel free to reach out with any questions or specific topics you would like me to address. See you next episode.